Hello and welcome back to day 33 of the Geography Revision countdown over here on my channel. Today we are looking at coastal depositional landforms. I have done, as I say, 32 of these already, so the rest of them are in the description box below. Please do subscribe so that you don't miss these. I'm going through the whole specification on my channel before your exams. So as I say, we're on day 33. There are 66 more to come after today, but I do hope you enjoy. Please do subscribe down below. It really does help me out, and share it with whoever you think might find it useful, and let's get going. So beaches are deposits of sand or shingle, pebbles at the coast. Sandy beaches are mainly found in sheltered bays. The waves entering the bay are constructive waves. They have a strong swash and build up the beach. But not all beaches are made of sand. Much of the south coast of England has pebbled beaches. These high energy environments wash away the finer sand and leave behind larger pebbles. These come from nearby eroded cliffs and are deposited onshore from vast accumulations out to sea. On a typical sandy beach, we have things called berms. One of these marks the high tide line, where the seaweed and rubbish get washed up onto the beach. Sand dunes. Sand deposited onto the beach has been blown inland by onshore winds to form dunes. And these sand dunes change in form and appearance the further inland that they go. To start with, embryo dunes form around deposited obstacles such as pieces of wood or rocks. These develop and become stabilised by vegetation to form fore dunes and tall yellow dunes. Marram grass is adapted to the windy, exposed conditions and has long roots to find water. These roots help to bind the sand together and stabilise the dunes further. In time, rotting vegetation allows organic matter into the sand to make it more fertile. A much greater range of plants then colonise these back dunes, is what they're called. And then wind can form depressions in sand, which are called dune slacks, in which ponds may form. Spits. A spit is a long, narrow finger of sand or shingle jutting out into the sea from the land. Spits form on coastlines where there is significant longshore drift. If the coastline changes orientation and bends sharply, sediment is then deposited out into the sea. As it builds up, it starts to form an extension to the land. This process continues, with the spit gradually growing further out into the sea. Strong winds or tidal currents can cause the end of the spit to recurve, forming a feature called a recurved end. There may be a number of recurved ends marking previous spit positions. In the sheltered water behind a spit, deposits of mud have been built up. Extensive salt marshes have formed as vegetation has started to grow in the emerging muddy islands. Salt marshes are extremely important to wildlife habitats and overwintering grounds for migrating birds. And then bars. Longshore drift may cause a spit to go right across a bay, trapping a freshwater lake or lagoon behind it. This feature is called a bar. An offshore bar forms further out to sea. Waves approaching a gently sloping coast deposit sediment due to friction with the seabed. The build-up of sediment offshore causes waves to break at some distance from the coast. In the UK, some offshore bars have been driven by onshore rising sea levels following ice melt at the end of the last glacial period some 8,000 years ago. This type of feature is called a barrier beach. Chesil Beach in Dorset is one of the best examples of this feature in the UK. So we're going to briefly think about the question. Explain how the process of deposition leads to the formation of distinctive coastal landforms. So we're talking about beaches here, the difference between sandy beaches and shingle beaches, and how, depending on the coastline, that might differ. Sandy beaches are typically found in areas with constructive waves and a stronger swash, weaker backwash. You can also talk about sand dunes, and how this is depositional from the sand that's on the beach. The wind then takes that further inland. They build up around a smaller obstacle like planks of wood, things like that, become stabilised. Marram grass starts to grow, vegetation rots, there's more nutrients, so more plants grow and it stabilises it even further. We can talk about spits, so longshore drift happens, the coastline changes and this continues out to sea. It can then become recurved due to different changes in current, so you might get a beach on the edge of an estuary, so the difference in tidal or fluvial currents will dictate that, and then bars as well. So they are the 4 things that you need to remember when you're thinking about coastal depositional landforms to answer that question. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow at 7 AM for another one. Bye guys.